This is Not Just Making the Tea, the podcast which discusses the realities of our career and life choices whilst made at school and college. We celebrate the parts that haven't gone to plan as much as those which have. With every chat, we plan to explore what life skills there are to be learnt and how they can influence and help us to succeed. I'm your host, Rachel Price, founder of Amali.com, the career website for young adults. So firstly, I'd like to say thank you for taking the time to listen to the podcast. I hope that you enjoy the experience and that you will continue to join me and my future guests on our journey. I really appreciate anyone who takes the time to listen, so please subscribe, like, tell your friends and send me any comments and feedback. I hope that you find these chats thought-provoking, entertaining and hopefully they give you some positive vibes for your day. So on that note, let's get started with today's topic. Magic happens when you let yourself press pause. The 1 second habit which is key to emotional intelligence. Over the past 3 decades, I've worked in many different settings within the fields of education and hospitality. Along the way, I've realised that emotional awareness can make a huge difference between ongoing conflict and constructive action. Whether it's between students and teachers, teachers and management, departments in hotels and restaurants, customers and hospitality staff, and many other individuals and groups. Being emotionally aware is a skill that comes in especially handy right now, as we're all facing new challenges and disruption to our daily lives. It's a tense, anxious time, and the high emotional temperature of the moment makes it easier than usual to get stuck in a tug-of-war of unnecessary conflict. Luckily, emotional awareness can be learned and improved. Here's where to begin: the art and practice of pausing. In times of stress or decision fatigue, a short pause can go a long way. It's as straightforward as it sounds. Instead of reacting to another person when you're feeling on the edge, take a quick break to reset. Some people are great at doing this. Every once in a while, when it's clear that feelings are tense regarding a question or a decision which needs to be made, or there's a frustration or an annoyance by a person's method or approach, these individuals ask you to hold on. They take a brief, quiet moment to cool down, collect their thoughts, and clearly articulate what's concerning them. It's a wonder to view. I'm grateful for the habit of hitting pause. It probably ends up saving all of us time and further frustration. And while these individuals take pause, I get one too. The few seconds of silence provides just enough time for me to do my own calming down, and I can reflect on how I might respond to their concerns. The greater the intensity of your emotional experience, the more you can benefit from a pause. But there's a catch. The more upset you are, the harder it is to take that pause. Intense emotions can be overwhelming, which makes you want to narrow in on them instead of taking a step back to consider the bigger picture. I've personally experienced this many times, especially when I'm angry. My immediate reaction, that feeling of outrage, seems to replay itself on a feedback loop that can be tough to stop. After 3 decades of wrestling with this dilemma right alongside my colleagues and students, I've realised that the best way to counteract that emotional feedback loop is to strengthen my pause reflex. It takes practice, serious practice. Try to take a moment each day to proactively pause what you're doing and reflect on how you feel about it, especially in times of crisis or change. The frequency of pause practice is more important than its duration. I found it personally helpful to take several 1 second pauses throughout my day. Every time I switch between computer applications, I close my eyes and remind myself to reflect. It seems to work. Here are 3 tips to help you press pause and understand your reactions. Give yourself time to let your emotions settle. Sometimes taking a break isn't enough to offer clarity or calm. If you find yourself still upset after pausing, that's totally okay. You can use that moment to acknowledge your emotions. The more we practice acknowledging how we feel, allowing our emotions to bubble up, be recognised and then float away, the more control we have when we are in their grip. The Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh offers the metaphor of a muddy glass of water when you're in the desert. You want to drink the water, but it's clouded with mud. So what to do? Well, you give it time. You let the dirt settle to the bottom so that you can drink the clear water. And it's the same with your emotions. Hanh says, don't try to throw away, change or examine the muddy emotions. Give them time and just let them settle and see what happens. Usually something more constructive appears in their place. Ask yourself what your emotions are trying to tell you. It's not always easy to let your emotions settle, especially when you're experiencing them with high intensity. One approach that can help is to treat your emotions as if they're an old friend who's come to visit you. Inside your head, you can say something like, "Hello, fear, what are you trying to tell me?" and then listen for an answer. This may seem silly at first, but it's a helpful way of identifying and labelling intense feelings, and then figuring out what kind of actions to take to address them. Here are some common messages that your emotions may be trying to send you. Anger, this is not right, something needs to change. Fear, danger ahead, real or perceived. Sadness, a loss has occurred. Disgust, this is not good. Joy, wow, that's great. Being aware of what we're feeling and why can make it easier to identify how to proceed. And finally, take constructive action. Once you're able to acknowledge your emotions and listen to what they're trying to tell you, it's time to act. Anger, or any other emotion, is not inherently bad. It can be a catalyst for destructive or alternatively constructive change, depending on what you do with it. One of the most well-known examples of this is the American civil rights icon, Martin Luther King Jr. Instead of denying his anger at racial injustice and inequality, he used it as a catalyst for social change. He articulated the impact of injustice on his people, and he made a clear request of every American to treat all people equally. Though we're far from arriving at equal society envisaged by King, his commitment to justice fueled by his anger paved the way for much of the civil rights progress in the country over the past 50 years. In ways big and small, everyone stands to gain from translating emotional awareness into constructive action. It's up to you to make the leap. Many of us move through life making important decisions based on our current circumstances and feelings. We may perceive this as being beyond our ability to change, thus limiting our options and solutions. Taking time to reflect and examining how we feel and why we decide to do what we do enables us to lead lives determined by our conscious intentions rather than circumstances alone. For many of us, now is the right time to learn and develop our abilities to press pause. So that's our topic for today. I hope you found the points useful and also interesting. For more information, check out the resources within the Learning Hub on amali.com. Additionally, go to amali.com and subscribe for updates and activities on topics aimed to help us all be more successful. If you've enjoyed this episode, why not subscribe and get new episodes weekly? You can do that for free via Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcast and more. You can also check out the Instagram page, Not Just Making the Tea, for more information and updates. Thank you once again for listening. It really means a lot. Keep safe and talk to you soon. Take care and have a great day.